It's hard to believe, but the lighthouse you're about to hear about turned itself on, 9 years after its entire power system was removed. And even stranger, its light began rotating at the exact moment a missing fishing boat drifted back to shore without a single person on board. That alone sounds impossible. But what the unreleased video shows, the one found inside the lighthouse, is far worse. If you enjoy real-sounding mystery files and cinematic folklore, make sure you subscribe, because this one only gets stranger. Grey Whistle Point stands on the far northeastern edge of Newfoundland, a cliff constantly hammered by wind, fog, and the kind of storms that swallow ships whole. For decades the lighthouse there kept fishermen safe, until it was officially shut down in 2014. Government papers blamed corrosion. Locals blamed something else, stories about lights flickering back to life at night, gears turning without power, and fog that felt like it was breathing. Once the grid was cut and the equipment stripped, the tower went silent. For 9 years. Then one November night, the sea brought something back. At 3:12 a.m., the fishing boat Northwind sent out a short, shaky transmission. The captain said, "We can see the lighthouse signal." That can't be right, it's been shut, and the message cut out. The weather was calm, the sea completely flat. Search teams expected to find survivors. Instead, the Northwind drifted into harbor by itself at sunrise. No captain. No deckhand. No signs of struggle. Everything on board was dry, except the steering wheel, which was wet, as if someone had been gripping it moments before. And out on the horizon, the lighthouse beam swept slowly across the ocean. Grey Whistle Point was alive again. Volunteer rescuer Tyler Rose was one of the first to reach the cliff. He'd worked dozens of recovery missions and never believed in ghost stories. But even he felt something was wrong the moment he saw that beam turning. He strapped on his GoPro, radioed his team, and climbed the long metal walkway toward the tower. As he approached the lower doors, he noticed the air was warmer, just slightly, just enough to make his breath fog differently. He tried to call it in, but the radio dissolved into static, a low electrical hum that shouldn't exist near a powerless building. He pushed open the heavy steel door and stepped inside. His flashlight revealed peeling paint, rust-eaten bolts, and everything you'd expect in a lighthouse abandoned for nearly a decade. Everything except the faint vibration under his boots. A slow, rhythmic pulse, like a heartbeat. He murmured to himself, "Machinery's dead, so what am I feeling?" He began climbing the spiral staircase. The steps groaned under his weight. Halfway up, he heard a sound, metal tapping, steady and deliberate. Tink, tink, tink. He lifted the flashlight, but the beam dissolved into thick fog swirling inside the tower. Fog inside a sealed structure made no sense. Still, he climbed. When he reached the lantern deck, the tapping stopped instantly, like whatever made it had been listening for him. The massive Fresnel lens rotated in front of him, casting a slow, bright sweep across the interior. There were no cables. No generator. No batteries hidden anywhere. Yet the light moved steadily, humming with an energy the lighthouse should no longer possess. Tyler walked toward the window, wiped a circle through the fog, and stared out toward the sea. What he saw made him stumble backward. The water below the cliffs was perfectly still. Not calm, frozen in place, smooth like a sheet of black glass. And beneath that surface, deeper than the light should reach, the camera caught a pale shape. Upright. Motionless. Facing upward. Tyler whispered, "What is that?" As if responding, the shape took a single step, not floating, not swimming, walking along the seafloor straight toward the cliff beneath the lighthouse. Tyler backed away, terror rising in his throat. He didn't notice that the rotating beam had stopped. But he did hear the whisper. It came from directly behind him, so close it stirred the hairs on his neck. A soft, wet voice, "Don't look at the water." Tyler spun around. No one was there. The voice continued, quieter now, "It sees the light, and it remembers the ones who used to keep it." Then, as the beam flickered, something pressed against the outside of the glass, a wet palm print, enormous, sliding slowly downward. The hand was upside down, as if whatever made it was hanging from the top of the tower rather than climbing up from below. The tapping resumed. Tink, tink, tink. This time only inches behind him. If you're still watching, and you want more real investigation-style mysteries and forbidden recordings, make sure you're subscribed. Because what happens next is the reason this footage was classified. Tyler ran. The staircase shuddered under his feet. Fog poured up from the lower floors, swirling unnaturally, as if something massive was pushing the air ahead of it. A heavy splash echoed somewhere below, not a drop of water, but the sound of something large stepping out of it. He shouted, "Is anyone here? Answer me," but only the creaking metal replied, vibrating under weight that didn't match his own footsteps. The GoPro distorted, colors bending, frames warping, as Tyler descended the final steps. He sprinted toward the exit, but the steel door slammed shut before he could reach it. Not by wind. Not by gravity. It slammed with intent. The camera fell to the floor. We see Tyler's boots, facing the door. We hear him whisper, "It's not water, it's not." A massive inhalation filled the lighthouse. A sound like the ocean itself drawing breath. Fog swept over the lens. Metal screamed under strain. And then, once more. Tink, tink, tink. The warning rhythm of Gray Whistle Point. The recording ends. When the second rescue team arrived later that morning, the lighthouse was silent. The lens was cold. The machinery still dismantled. Tyler was gone. His footprints led toward the cliff edge, and stopped. No sign of a fall. No drag marks. No return prints. Just a perfect end point, as if he'd walked forward onto something that wasn't rock at all. Nearby, the team found a small pool of seawater on the floor, despite the doors being closed and the sea being 40 meters below. The official report called it an environmental disappearance. Locals don't agree. They say the lighthouse didn't malfunction, it responded. That something beneath the water had once answered its signal, and recognized the light when it returned. And on fog-heavy nights, fishermen swear they still see Gray Whistle Point come alive. A slow, deliberate rotation of a lens that should be powerless. And sometimes, moving far beneath the surface, a second light, dim, pale, and watching. If stories like this, part folklore, part investigation, part impossible truth, keep you watching, subscribe to the channel. There are more files like this one, and each is stranger than the last.